With the Boston Bruins on the verge of clinching the President's Trophy, I'm doing an extended cup check today, a look at the top teams in both conferences and who poses the biggest challenge to Boston's Stanley Cup aspirations. We're also going to preview tonight's game against the lowly Columbus Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Thursday, March 30th. Thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your day every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Happy MLB opening day to all who are celebrating. And don't forget to subscribe to the Locked On Red Sox podcast as well. Today, we're going to preview tonight's game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, as well as do a cup check where I look at the top teams around the NHL and assess where the Bruins rank among them. I'm going to look at both conferences today and really get into who the top contenders are apart from the Boston Bruins, who can clinch the President's Trophy and therefore home ice advantage through the playoffs tonight on home ice. Quick reminder that you can find the podcast on Twitter, Instagram at Locked NHL Bruins, and you can find me, my dad jokes, and hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. Let's begin with a look at the Eastern Conference, where right now, 5 of the top 6 teams in the NHL reside. That would be our Boston Bruins, the Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey Devils, Toronto Maple Leafs. Those are your top 4 teams right now in the NHL in point percentage. You have the Vegas Golden Knights and New York Rangers tied for 5th at 662. Now, the good news is a bunch of those teams will be out after the first round, or at least a couple. Let's say Boston, Carolina advance past the first round over wildcard teams, which are at the moment the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders. For me, ideal first round matchup for the Bruins would be the Penguins. They're -4 when it comes to goal differential. Goaltending, incredibly suspect. And I'd much rather face Tristan Jarry or Casey DeSmith than Ilya Sorokin. Straight up. Then, of course, you'll have the Devils, Rangers in the first round, and then the Maple Leafs and the Lightning. The Lightning, as it stands, in terms of point percentage, sit way down below Edmonton at the moment. What are they? They're 12th overall right now in terms of total points. So not quite the powerhouse that they have been in the past, but still a team that could very well advance to the second round with a win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. We all know the Maple Leafs no lock to win a playoff round. In fact, they and the Seattle Kraken are the only 2 teams in the shootout era not to win a playoff round so far in the shootout era. So New Jersey or the Rangers will be gone. One of Tampa and Toronto will be gone after the opening round. I'm much more wary of the Rangers than the Devils, to be honest. And I always default to goaltending. Who has the better goaltender? And Igor Shesterkin, I would take any day over Vitek Vanacek. And so I don't want to play the Rangers in the second or in the conference finals, of course. That wouldn't be we don't have to worry about the Metro until the conference finals. So let's say the Bruins win, they'll be playing either the Maple Leafs or the Lightning in round 2. Are we worried about either of those teams? I mean, yeah, of course. You have to be worried about teams that are among the tops in the NHL. Tampa Bay, 6 points back of the Maple Leafs with one more game played. Toronto with a plus 47 goal differential versus Tampa's plus 27. Could very well be Toronto's year to advance. Do they shake off those ghosts of years past and beat Boston in the second round? I don't see it happening. Boston plus 117 goal differential compared to plus 47 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not too worried about that. The biggest competition for the Bruins, I believe, is the Carolina Hurricanes. Easy to say since they're the second place team in the East. You always have to be worried about the Lightning. They could very well advance past the Maple Leafs. They have all-world talent up front. They have arguably the best goalie in the world in Andrei Vasilevsky. These are the teams I'm most worried about, the ones with top goaltending. Now, thankfully, the Bruins have the best goalie in the NHL this season in Linus Ullmark. That should be an advantage, of course, for the Bruins. But you can't discount how good Vasilevsky is. Igor Shesterkin, Freddie Anderson, we know the Bruins have beaten him in the past. Ilya Sorokin, hopefully they won't have to worry about him as the Islanders will likely hold on to the top wildcard spot, and therefore play Carolina in the first round. Florida's still kicking around. They're only 1 point back of Pittsburgh, so we might need to be worried about them. But again, they have a plus 2 goal differential, 540 point percentage. Yes, they won the President's Trophy last year, but it's a vastly different team. And I'm not worried about them, to be honest. Both Pittsburgh and Florida really limping into the wild card race at the moment. And I would be shocked, disappointed, hurt, even if Boston were to lose in the opening round. It will obviously get a lot tougher past the opening round. They're going to have to play either Toronto or Tampa Bay. Then they'll have to play Carolina, the Rangers, or the Devils, all of whom will have 100 points by season's end. But Boston is just so far and away better than any of these teams. I'm not super worried. Now, the underlying numbers, 5-on-5, more in favor of some of these other teams. Boston right now, 15th when it comes to shot attempt differential in the NHL. They're giving up almost as many shot attempts as they are generating at 5-on-5. Shot differential, the Bruins rank 7th, so that's a bit better. Actual shots on net, they have a bigger advantage, 51.54. When it comes to high danger chance differential, the Bruins rank 9th. So they are generating more high danger chances than they're giving up. When you look at expected goals, the Bruins rank 7th at 5-on-5. Behind Carolina, who's number 1, New Jersey, Florida, and Pittsburgh. Both teams that the Bruins could play in the opening round. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. Where the Bruins are excelling is they're actually so deep that they're getting some of the best 5-on-5 production in the NHL, 9.83 shooting percentage, and they have the best goaltending 5-on-5 around the NHL, 94.01. Now you could look at that and say that could regress at some point, but you have a 74 game sample size to build on. And is that all of a sudden going to dry up in the playoffs? That 5-on-5 scoring, is Ullmark or Swayman going to completely fall apart in the playoffs? It's not likely. And this is where the power play comes into great importance. They need to get those power play chances going in order to buffer any deficiencies that might arise 5-on-5. So Carolina, probably Boston's biggest challenge in the Eastern Conference, followed by, let's say, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who will, I think, finally beat the Tampa Bay Lightning this season. We're going to take a look at the Western Conference here in a moment, but first, a word about today's first sponsor, which is our friends over at Built Bar. We've been talking about Built Bar for years on the Locked On Podcast Network, and for good reason. They offer tasty and healthy snacks that can keep you going through your day, whether you're at the office, working from home, stay-at-home parent, whatever your situation is, student. Built Bars are the perfect snack. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, come in some unbelievable flavors like peanut butter brownie, coconut almond, but they are good for you. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. You can go to built.com, look for a box of your favorite flavors, or now you can go to Walmart, pick up a 4-box from the pharmacy, or Sam's Club. They have 13 bar boxes there as well. Built Bar, again, the perfect snack for whatever your situation. Delicious and healthy. Grab a box and thank me later. Now, let's turn our attention to the Western Conference and the top teams over there at the moment. First of all, no team in the West has clinched a playoff spot as of yet, whereas there are 5 teams from the East that have done so. The top team over there right now is the Vegas Golden Knights. What a story it would be for Bruce Cassidy and his new club to advance to the Stanley Cup final against Jim Montgomery and the Boston Bruins. Have talent, of course. They're always in it to win it from day one. And they are one of the hottest teams out West with an 8-2 record over their past 10 games. Now, the Los Angeles Kings are right up there. That's going to be a very intriguing matchup, potentially in the West, with Jonathan Quick, maybe starting for Vegas come playoff time. The Minnesota Wild are very hot at the moment as well, 7-1-2, winners of 3 in a row. Without Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Boldy really helping to carry the load for the Wild as of late. Of course, you have the defending Stanley Cup champion, Colorado Avalanche. If they can get completely healthy, they'll be a force to be reckoned with. They're tied with the Dallas Stars. Seattle kicking around. Winnipeg, Nashville battling it out for the final wildcard spot, with Calgary still in contention as well. Calgary with an astounding 15 overtime shootout losses, leaving so many points on the table there. One team that I'm kind of worried about would be the Edmonton Oilers. Don't look now, but the Oilers have 3 scorers in the top 6. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who I unfortunately traded away in my keeper fantasy league last summer for Mark Stone, who I flipped for Matt Barzal. 6th right now, 96 points. That's behind Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Nikita Kucherov, David Pastrnak, and Matthew Tkachuk. Astounding production from the kind of forgotten first overall pick there in Edmonton. So there's a bunch of good teams out West. Of course, we wouldn't have to worry about any of them until the Stanley Cup final. But Vegas right now, the top team in the West, they have a 62 point percentage tied with Toronto and the Rangers. And Jack Eichel can get going. If they can get some goaltending, they could very well advance to the final. Again, what a series that would be if it would be Boston and Vegas. But they won't easily advance. The Kings, Wild, the Stars, the Avalanche, Oilers, all better than Tampa Bay right now, the 3-time defending Eastern Conference champions and recent 2-time Stanley Cup champions. Those are all teams to worry about. Seattle, Winnipeg, Nashville, maybe not so much. Now, when it comes to the underlying numbers, top team in the West in terms of shot attempt differential, again, Calgary. If they can sneak in, I had them as Cup finalists heading into this season. If they can sneak in, they could be a dangerous team. When it comes to high danger chances, 5-on-5, the Edmonton Oilers are the top team in the West. San Jose ranks 5th, by the way, which is kind of insane. When it comes to expected goal differential, Calgary, Edmonton, Los Angeles are your top 3 teams out west. The Kings, I think, could really surprise some people. They have this incredible mix of veteran talent, young talent. They got better at the deadline, adding Eunice Korpisalo and the Bruin who was not, Vladislav Gavrikov. So they're a team to watch out west. If I had to pick one team to come out of there right now, if the Oilers can get some goaltending, it would be ridiculous for a team that has 100-point scorers to not make it out of the Western Conference. They got better adding Matthias Ekholm. Again, it comes down to goaltending. Jack Campbell has been a bust for them. Stuart Skinner, a possible Calder Trophy candidate. If one of those guys can step up, they could be a team to be reckoned with. It would be cool to have Vegas, Boston in the final. The Kings would be a fun matchup as well. The Wild, a fun team. Matt Boldy versus the Bruins. My preference would be for the nostalgia to have Boston beat Edmonton, going back to the 1990 final. I've told this story on the podcast before, but one of the reasons I'm a Bruins fan, my dad was a huge Bobby Orr fan growing up, but my sister, who's 7 years my senior, was a huge Mark Messier fan, therefore a big Edmonton Oilers fan. So when I was a kid, the Oilers, Bruins met in the Stanley Cup final, and I really dug into my Bruins fandom at that point just to be a obnoxious little brother and to really piss her off. Obviously, she got the upper hand. She later took me to to a Bruins Senators game in Ottawa when the Senators came to be, which was very kind of her. And still, it just brings back memories of childhood, and that would be a cool matchup, I think. Although I don't want to face Connor McDavid in the final because he is indeed so dangerous. Anyways, it's pretty wide open, but the Bruins, again, far and away the best team. They have an 804 point percentage. Next team is Carolina at 705. No other team is above 700. Boston's goal differential, plus 17. Second place team is the New York Rangers at plus 53. Nobody comes close to the Bruins. Nobody should come close to the Bruins. Anything can happen in the playoffs, but they are, without question, the best team in the league. And if they don't win this year, I personally will be pretty bummed. Very sad. We're going to preview tonight's game against the Columbus Blue Jackets here in a moment. Quick word first about today's other sponsor, which is our friends over at FanDuel. The FanDuel Sportsbook is the official sportsbook of the Locked On Network, America's #1 sportsbook. And you can get in on the NCAA tournament action. Final Four coming up this weekend. They're giving new customers a no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. This is for new customers over at FanDuel. You can go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, sign up today, and claim your no sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from Final Four money lines, point spreads, which team will be cutting down the net, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Don't miss your shot at a no sweat first bet of up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon today to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, the Bruins will be looking to shake off the other night's disappointing loss against the Nashville Predators, and they have a clinching scenario tonight. They can clinch the President's Trophy and the number 1 seed in the postseason if they defeat the Blue Jackets in any fashion, or if they get 1 point versus the Blue Jackets and the Hurricanes lose to the Red Wings in any fashion, or if the Hurricanes lose to the Red Wings in regulation. So the Bruins don't have to win tonight to clinch, but it would be nice to get that win on home ice, beat the Blue Jackets in any fashion. I'm sure it would be a low-key, if any, celebration for the Bruins. The President's Trophy, not their goal. Brad Marchand saying that explicitly on the podcast last month, or when was that? Earlier this month. They don't care about the President's Trophy, but the fact is they do get home ice advantage through the playoffs with finishing first overall, and therefore, yeah, let's get it. Let's go out there and do it. Should be a win tonight against the Blue Jackets. I said that the other night when they played Nashville. That, of course, did not happen, but Columbus, one of the worst teams in the NHL this season. In fact, are they dead last at the moment? The Connor Bedard sweepstakes coming down to Columbus 32nd, Chicago 31st, San Jose, Anaheim are your bottom teams at the moment. Columbus right now, a record of 23, 43, and 7. They've lost 2 in a row, 3, 6, and 1 over their past 10. The Bruins winning both matchups previously, 4-0 back in October, 4-2 in December. They do have some pretty good players. Johnny Gaudreau with 6 points over their last 5 games. Young Kirill Marchenko, 3 goals to lead the team over that span. Kent Johnson just pulled off the Michigan the other night. They could be a decent team pretty soon, especially if they get Connor Bedard. They haven't been getting goaltending this year. Elvis Merzlikins with an .876 point percentage. He's currently backed up by Michael Hutchinson with an .871 point percentage. I would imagine it will be Jeremy Swayman in net tonight, .921. Easily could pitch a shutout tonight for the Bruins, to use an opening day analogy. David Pastrnak, 5 points over his last 5 games to lead the Bruins in scoring in that span. 4 goals. Charlie McAvoy with 3 assists. Blue Jackets rank 29th in goals for per game, 2.7. 31st in goals allowed per game, almost 4 goals per game. They are allowing the Bruins scoring 3.69 goals per game. So I would hope that they pile it on tonight. I'm going to say it's going to be a 5-1 final for the Bruins tonight. And hopefully they're able to get some success on the power play. Columbus ranked 21st on the penalty kill. Nick Foligno's old club, of course. We saw Sean Kuraly greeting some Bruins yesterday. He'll be playing in Boston Garden for, not the first time, I don't think, but always fun to see him return as well. Some news and notes to finish off. Evan Gould has been named general manager of the Providence Bruins. He's been serving as Bruins assistant GM since 2019. He'll continue to work alongside Don Sweeney on all hockey operations matters for the Bruins, while playing a leadership role in the day-to-day operations for the Providence team. Evan Gould will be a GM in the NHL at some point in the near future, whether it's with Boston or another team. I'm sure he's on other clubs' radars. A bit of a cap genius for the Bruins, and a big opportunity for him now with the AHL club. Elsewhere, the Bruins signed forward Trevor Kuntar. I don't know if that's the official pronunciation, but it's the safer one. To a 2-year entry-level contract beginning next season. He appeared in 34 NCAA games with Boston College this season, 13 goals, 16 assists, and he was selected by the Bruins in the third round of the 2020 NHL draft. The Bruins could be relying on a bunch of entry-level guys next season. I got a bunch of guys on lesser contracts as they juggle all the cap implications of, well, David Pasternak's new contract, potential overages for Krejci and Bergeron. Again, that's where Evan Gould comes in handy with his cap wizardry. Anyways, that's it for today's episode, my friends. A quick look at the biggest challengers around the league. Boston, with all due respect to the rest of the league, should win the cup, and anything can happen in the playoffs, but they're far and away the better team, and hopefully they assert their dominance tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll be back tomorrow to preview weekend action, to recap tonight's game, and again, happy opening day. Check out Locked On Red Sox or whatever your favorite team is. There's a Locked On podcast for you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Take care of yourselves, friends. Take care of each other. Talk to you again tomorrow.